Hey, everybody. Welcome to America's favorite game show. Come on down, Kristi Noem. It's time for you to play Everything Trump Touches Dies. Cue the music, right? She's out. He's out, outie, out. Guys, I want to tell everybody the pressure of social media and political media. Hold on. I'm hearing my own. Sorry, I was hearing my own audio in the background there. That's my fault on my end. But guys, Kristi Noem has become the first big-time ETTD member since last year when Elon Musk bit into the inevitable rule of American political physics, created and coined by yours truly. And this one is going to sting. I'm going to tell you why. First off, Noem was the perfect exemplar of the MAGA bullshit parade. Always on message. The cruelty was the point. She was Stephen Miller's presentable TV monkey, because you can't put Stephen Miller out there on TV saying things like, yes, I'd like to take the children and bleed them first before I imprison them. But Noem could do it. However, I want to get to the biggest picture here, the biggest part of this picture here, because it is fantastic. It is a big win. And that is that Trump has given in to public pressure. He was determined this time not to fire people. He was determined this time to not let the media get a win. Folks, you got to win. The media got to win. The good guys got to win. And I'll tell you why. Kristi Noem was so unacceptable. It's such an adjunct to a criminal enterprise at ICE. Such a key element of this un-American organization pursuing an un-American set of policies, persecuting and killing and murdering American citizens. And Trump gave in. He chickened out. He fell back. This is a moment where you should really, really calibrate, because Donald Trump desperately did not want to fire anybody. He desperately did not want to be a guy. Sorry, took the quail hat off. It was getting hot. He desperately didn't want to be the guy who gave the media a win. Tack her hide up to the barn. This is a moment where the Trump administration lost. Everything Trump touches dies is always the rule, guys, in the end. She was lavishly corrupt. She was involved in an obvious public affair with Corey Lewandowski. They were flying together on private jets, his special government employee in the love room in the back of the plane. Get the hell out of here. Yesterday was why Trump did it. Because when she was asked if she was fucking Lewandowski, she went, "How dare you, sir?" She didn't deny it. Trump would have forgiven her bullshitting and perjuring herself, but instead it looked awkward and defensive and amateurish. And that is why, and he did it while she was on stage in Nashville, while she was speaking in Nashville, while she was putting on a continuation of the Trump show. Didn't even tell her he was going to do it. Nobody called her. Nobody had the respect to call her and say, hey, we've got to make a change. You've done a great job. We're going to move on from here. They cut her in midstream. They didn't even give her the common courtesy of a reach around. This is an amazing day. Now, I want to say this. The other great part about this is that Kristi Noem has a lifetime now of legal exposure from the shit she has done as the Secretary of Homeland Security. A lifetime of exposure for the illegal things she has pursued, the illegal orders she has passed on from Stephen Miller and executed in the name of this government. And guess what, Kristi? I hope you're really rich, because otherwise you're really fucked. This is so good. This is so... The Secretary of Homeland Security is out. She managed to absolutely make herself into the most clownish figure for Trump. She thought, I'll keep doing the big show. I'll keep doing the big I'm out there for you, Donald. Anything for you, Donald, Damien style, right? It's an old throwback. You guys don't remember that one, but this is a magnificent moment. And I'm not just cackling and capering about this because she's an insufferable and unbelievably horrifying human being, and that Corey Lewandowski is a poisonous freak. And by the way, there was a reason why Lewandowski never rose in politics until Trump. It's because people like us would never hire him when he was in politics before, because he was violent and he's a sociopath and he's a lunatic. He was talking to people at the beginning of the administration. I'm going to set up Kristi for presidential run in 28. This job's the perfect job. It's going to be great. I heard that from two people in the beginning of the administration. I was like, what? Trump did not want to do this. He did not want to give in to public pressure, but the public pressure was so great that he did it. You guys brought that public pressure. Everybody brought that public pressure. I'm just checking the time. Sorry. I got today's Slam a Jam. I got another thing coming up at 3, but I'm going to stick with you guys for a little while before then. Everything about this was a colossal failure. ICE and DHS are now poison to the American people. She's turned the immigration issue on its head. It was one of Trump's best issues, and now it's one of his worst. That's on her. That's on Kristi Noem. That's on Kristi Noem. That's on Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem. Now, there's a competing theory out there that is wrong. I'm just going to tell you what it is because I've heard it already from somebody. Oh, well, Tom Homan's more sensible and Mark-Wayne Mullin is more. I have bad news for you both, for both of these men. The axe will come for you too. Mark-Wayne Mullin, who has been tagged to replace Noem, and he will get confirmed, even though he's a gibbering idiot. He's a senator. That's why they picked him, because of the Senate courtesy. They will push him. They will push him through there. Okay. Cold coffee, delicious. Mark-Wayne Mullin is among the dumbest creatures to inhabit Washington, D.C. today. And that includes Tommy Tuberville. That includes Cindy Hyde-Smith. That includes Virginia Fox. Mark-Wayne Mullin doesn't have 27 neurons to rub together to form a coherent thought. If you have watched him on television with the this is a man without coherent intellectual processes of any kind. Hang on a second. I just have to do some business, folks, while we're doing this. But Mark-Wayne Mullin is among the stupidest people you could hope to imagine. He is dumber than a bag of hammers. I have dead car batteries in the garage that are smarter than Mark-Wayne Mullin. There's slime mold growing at the edge of my lake that's smarter than Mark-Wayne Mullin. He's not good on television. And this is Trump's number one thing. Be obedient is actually number one, but be good on television is number two. Watch any interview with this guy. Any interview. Oh, I've got a wrap, guys. I got a wrap. Apparently I was on 2:30, not 3 for this next thing. Ugh, I apologize. That is my fault. I may come back. Give me a few. But it's fun. It's a good day. I got more to say on this. Hey, guys, told you I'd be back, and I am back. I had to do something for the good of the order. Protect and preserve democracy. It was important. Listen. While I was on the phone with the person I was talking to, and this was not a call about this, all I could think of weirdly, about Noem was Texas. Why? Texas has not been the hotbed of their enforcement efforts. But Texas Hispanics came out this week and blew the freaking doors off for James Tallarico. We've seen a lot of other polling around the country that all the Hispanic gains Trump made, an awful lot of them were in Texas in 2024. Those are gone now, completely reversed. In fact, Hispanic voters have gone further toward the Democrats than Trump gained in 2024. And I'm thinking to myself, consider the damage that has been done by that, and further consider the damage that was done in Texas by the fact that Christos Avita, Trump's number one political advisor, and Tony Fabrizio, Tony the pollster, his pollster, advised him to back John Cornyn over Ken Paxton. Now, Cornyn is a never Trump Republican. He's not a hard Trumper. He's faked it, but he's not a fanatic. He's got a political survival sense, is why he faked it. But they convinced the president of the United States to push for Cornyn and to try to get Paxton out. Paxton said, "Here's my middle finger. No." So Trump has fallen for the insider game twice in 2 days. One on Texas and two on Noem. Everyone was going to him. We can't handle her. She's too much. She got to go. We got to throw somebody off the sled so the wolves will stop to eat her and not eat the rest of us. That ain't how this is going to work. It's too late. The damage is done. You don't get to think about Kristi Noem as a light bulb that you turn off and on. She is a toxic pile of simmering radioactive waste. The things that DHS has done during the course of the first year of the Trump administration is a absolute game changer with those Hispanic voters in Texas and beyond. And by the way, I'm in the great state of Florida. Keep your eye on District 27 in South Florida, where Elvira Maria Salazar, the Republican member who should walk in that race, it should be easy, is in an absolute panic. Why? Because the Trump administration has rescinded the TPS status of 350,000 Venezuelan and Cuban folks. And they're not citizens. They can't vote, but their families brought them here. And they're mad. Noem is going to be seen as an architect of this gigantic institutional transition in the country where ICE and DHS not only treated immigrants to this country as if they were all murderers, shipped them off. We were shipping off Venezuelan hairdressers to El Salvadorian prison camps. There's no bragging about it at CCOT. All of these people, the lives of immigrants, they rippled out to many, many, many other Americans who gave a shit. And suddenly, they figured it out. Noem wasn't deporting Tren de Agua murderer traffickers. Noem was deporting Rosa, the home healthcare aide. Noem was deporting Miguel, the gardener. Noem was deporting the guy putting a roof on your house, and treating them all as if they were the same category of criminal as a murderer, as a sex trafficker. Now, we have seen already that Donald Trump will pardon sex traffickers and will mount a giant government cover-up for sex traffickers, murderers, and anybody else, fraudsters, anybody else who pays him the vig. But that guy who's struggling to send a remittance back to his family in Jalisco, he doesn't have $1 million to write for the Trump super PAC to get a pardon. So the contrast of the way they've lawlessly treated folks who are here in the immigration system, those who are following the rules, going to their court hearings, are treated the same way as those who are here without papers. That is really blown up. This is Noem is going to be a gift that keeps on giving. Now, right now, I want to get back to the transition here. Because Mark Wayne Mullin, who, by the way, don't try to stop him in the Senate. I'll tell you why. One, the Republicans would like to get rid of him because he's a jackass. He's a tool bag. Two, he's going to be great for us because he's going to go out and step on his junk every single time he goes in front of the cameras. I want to say this again. He is not a smart man. He is a very, 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 very slow coach. Okay? Stephen Miller will be running the entire operation, as you know. Stephen Miller will be doing all of the, puppeteering behind the scenes, as you know. And weirdly, Mullin is even less agile at following that ball than Noem was. He's going to be another disaster. He's not smart, not a good leader. And just watch any TV interview, folks. Trump's loyalty and be good on TV, those are the things he cares about. Why do you think sec drunk Pete Hegseth still has a job? Because every time he goes out on TV, he says, and by the way, Donald Trump's taint smells like honeysuckle and rainbows, and I love him. All right. But Trump fell for it with the inside game. People in the White House and in Congress convinced him that if he got rid of Kristi Noem, things would get better. Oh, it's fantastic. But Noem leaving gives her the opportunity to do the funniest thing ever, by the way. She could do the funniest thing ever. Kristi Noem. Now, and I promise you, everybody's telling her right now, just play ball. Trump will bring you back in some, he'll make you ambassador to Bermuda or whatever. Oh, yeah. She's going to have legal exposure till she's dead because the people she encouraged to murder American citizens are still out there. She still called Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists. She's still an egregious, horrifying shitbird. So that's my theory why she's not going to get anything else from Trump. She was costly. If you watch Trump's immigration numbers, the moment they went to Los Angeles, they started to decline. It was his strongest issue. It's now one of his weakest issues. He's more than 20 points underwater on immigration. He still is like neutral to net positive on border security, but people bifurcate that in their minds because they know that there's no border crisis in Minnesota. They know there's no border crisis in Chicago. But ICE and DHS, masked, armed, and empowered with what Kristi Noem told them to do on behalf of Stephen Miller, has poisoned Trump's numbers. I can't emphasize this enough, how much Build the Wall, way back in 2016, moved white working class voters to Trump. It was an impossible message to overcome. And I say that because I know I was hired by a bunch of people who spent a lot of money on polling and focus groups and voter studies to try to figure out how to counteract that message. You'd be shocked if I told you who they were. But she poisoned it. She's like a time bomb. And everything she's done and said is not going to go away. Everything she's done and said is not gonna suddenly disappear. She will be in litigation. And for my Democratic friends in Congress, when we take the majority back, you still get to call Kristi Noem back to testify over and over and over and over and over again. Okay? You still get to call her back 100 freaking times and do it. Do it. Play the game. Ask yourself, what would they do? You'd want Kristi Noem's name and face back up there all the time. Now, look, she may land in Fox or somewhere like that. Who knows? I don't know. But Mullin is going to be a disaster. She was a disaster. I mean, she absolutely. When you talk about shitting the bed, this was a woman who could not shoot straight. She was a train wreck. Every time she went on TV, she held the Trump line, but every time she went on TV, she made it worse for him. Now, I want to say something else about that I was thinking about earlier before I got back on the live here with you guys. If you're a cabinet member with Trump, today was the worst day. Today was a bad day. And I'll tell you why. Because the seal is broken. The seal is broken. He didn't want to fire anybody because that's a win for the news media in their minds. It could have been a win for common decency in the mind of a normal human being, but he's a sociopathic criminal. So there. I'm just told that he has the same types of staged Noem Barbie Yellowstone photos. We're going to throw those up when we get them. Howdy, Mark Wayne. Oh my God. Is this their meet cute? By the way, there is a Simpsons reference, and there's always a Simpsons reference. Some folk will never eat a skunk, and then again some folk will. He's Cletus the slack-jawed yokel. Some folk will never lose a toe, but then again some folk will. He's Cletus the slack-jawed yokel. Mark Wayne Mullin is Cletus the slack-jawed yokel. Watch it, look it up on YouTube. You will never forget it. You won't be able to get it out of your head. But the rest of the cabinet members today are smelling something in the air. And that's the smell of the tomb. That's the ETTD curse suddenly free upon the world again. If you're Howard Lutnick, who has now been subpoenaed, if you're Pam Bondi, who's now been subpoenaed, and you become a liability, if you become an embarrassment, if you become another reason why Trump's numbers are going down. Now, look, I think Lutnick is easy. They'll fire Lutnick, and Trump likes him, so he'll make it smooth. It's like Howard will be the new ambassador to the Organization of American States, or what, I don't know. It doesn't matter. It'll be an invisible promotion to a zero job where he will disappear. Now, from my standing, I think you should drag Lutnick out and interrogate him with jumper cables, because he clearly was deeper in bed with Jeffrey Epstein than anybody has been clear about. That's just me. I'm a man made of sterner stuff. I believe in real punishment for bad people. Pam Bondi, yeah, she's running the cover up, but you know who really runs the cover up? Todd Blanche. I think Trump liked her doing the Dow's at 50,000. I think he liked that act. I think he likes Pam. But he also recognizes that the Epstein matter is bleeding him with his own people. Okay. Immigration cost Trump with independence. Joe Trippi and I were talking about this the other night. The immigration hit the independents square in the face. They hated it. They hated it so much. It did bleed some Republicans, but Epstein has bled a lot of Republicans. And if you are Pam Bondi and you embarrass him, something goes wrong, you lose a case, And in fact, the fact that she couldn't bring a case against Joe Biden on the auto pin matter because it was such a spurious made up pulled out of Trump's ass out of whole cloth. If you're Pam now, you're thinking to yourself, I wonder if Brian Ballard will hire me back for my $1.5 million a year job at the lobbying firm if I get out sooner or later. Because she was the lobbyist for Qatar, by the way, with Brian Ballard. She lobbied for Qatar. Just saying. If you're anybody on the lower tier of cabinet members, you're also thinking to yourself, is the curse coming for me now? If you're Scott Bessent, you might be safe. If you're Howard Lutnick, you ain't safe. Let's put that picture of Lutnick in. Yeah, there you go. That guy is going to get the chop. ETTD is coming for you, Howard. If you're one of the crypto bro weirdos like a David Sachs or somebody else further down sub cabinet, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of rolling pressure to have changes. Because I want to talk to you about this firing shows that the administration understands it is in a crisis. The American people are pissed off. They don't like Donald Trump. 60% of the American people would not piss on Donald Trump if he was on fire. The hardcores are down to 25, 23, somewhere in there. The Trump hotties, the guys that, if Trump was Jim Jones at Georgetown, he would have, they'd be the first in line to buy the cup of poison, right? That number's shrinking. Epstein hurt them. The economic perils hurt them. A lot of this is adding up. So they know they're in a crisis. I'm going to give you the 3 phases of the crisis. 1, we have to get a better team of people who can communicate the president's great success. Now, believe me, I'm saying this not because I know Trump, because this is what every White House in crisis ever does, Republican or Democrat. Number 2, we've just got to change the narrative. We're not getting our message out. Number 3, our spokespeople aren't doing the job. We've got to get a new face in front of the American people. Now, look, Carolyn Leavitt, if she was to be consumed by a pack of wild badgers and disappear from the world forever, I don't think most people would cry about it in outside of MAGA. But I don't think you're going to have anybody that can go up there and play that role where they can be a trusted communicator to anything beyond the Fox News hardcores. Because he won't let you. I got to tell you, we will look back on this day. This will be one of those inflection points. And we will say, when they shit-canned Kristi Noem was when a lot of shit started going off the rails even further. Now, by the way, I have a piece of advice for Kristi Noem that she will never take. She'll never take it. Mainly because one of the greatest signs of intelligence in a person is being able to take counsel. She can't. But Kristi, you have the chance to do the funniest thing ever. Walk out that door with your extensions held high and say, I'm going to speak the full truth about this administration. I believed in Donald Trump. I loved Donald Trump. I stood by Donald Trump's side. I was protecting Donald Trump as best I could. And Stephen Miller and Tom Homan and Pam Bondi and the rest and all open the full floodgate. I was a performer for this administration. I was a robot on that stage doing what I was told to do. You don't want to admit that. Kristi, I know you don't want to admit that. I get it. You don't want to admit that. That's horrifying. It's humiliating. But weirdly, it's your only path out. Because right now, what people think is, oh, she was a sociopathic maniac who liked to deport children, and liked to deport fathers whose daughters were dying of cancer and all this sort of stuff. Marjorie Taylor Greene is on an interesting life journey. And I thought for a long time it was fake, but I mean, she's burned the bridges so many times now. I don't know that it's fake anymore. I think Kristi Noem, and you won't do this, Kristi, I know, because you're not that terribly bright. The book you could write, the story you could tell is right there for you. You have to admit that you're part of a monstrous operation, part of a monstrous machine. You'd have to argue the Nuremberg defense, and that rarely works out as well as people think. But what's going to happen if you don't is worse for you and your family. What's going to happen if you don't is that, and you'll hear this very soon. You'll know it. You'll know I'm right very soon. Well, Noem was out of control. She and Corey were so busy fucking 24 hours a day that she really didn't have her hand on the tiller, and she would come in and she was very corrupt, and she spent all this money and this and that and the other thing. Lay it out there. Be radically transparent. Do it all, Kristi. Just lay it out there. Tell the whole story. You could get a very solid book deal out of it. Might take care of some of your legal bills to come. And Kristi, the reason you should do it is because Trump will be dead soon. And by the way, Kristi, I noticed something today. He didn't mention a pardon, did he? He didn't mention a pardon. Oops. Because you were thinking about that the whole time. This entire thing. You were like, I can do whatever I want. I can put people in CCOT because I'm not going to ever face any legal consequences. I'm not going to ever face any blowback at all. I'm going to get a pardon. And you were thinking that pardon was also maybe going to cover things like this shenanigan with this TV ad campaign. And I want to say something, folks, as an aside. I'll take a moment of not giving Kristi advice for a second. This ad buy of theirs, this $200 million ad buy that went to the home address of a Republican consultant in Virginia, I will be saying more about this soon. I know who this guy is. I know who this guy is. And these people, a $200 million ad campaign, I will promise you, the absolute standard operating procedure in DC would be that Corey would get a piece because he would have been the guy to make the decision. But I'll bet you some other people got a piece from Corey. I'll bet you somebody in the Trump universe got a piece from Corey out of that ad buy. And Corey, if I'm wrong, sue me. Let's find out. These people were selling contracts. It was a constant drumbeat in DC. Constant drumbeat in DC. And if you got a pardon, you would have been protected about selling those contracts, Corey, about doing this shady deal with this video firm, Kristi. But you didn't get a pardon, did you? You're going to wait for it? You're going to think you're going to wait it out? Like hope for the best? I don't know what's wrong with Trump, but that new bruise on the side of his neck, it's not a hickey from Melania, because that would be much extra on the contract. Donald Trump, in the worst case scenario for Noem and a lot of the other Republican members of the cabinet, if he drops dead one day and you guys don't get pardons in advance, there's a technical term for this. It's not a legal term. It's a technical term. You are fuckity fucked. You were in deep shit. Now look, Noem can't evade responsibility for civil lawsuits that will come against her from people whose rights have been violated, whose names have been defamed by her personally. Those civil lawsuits can't pardon your way out of them. You can't. I'm going to tell you though, Kristi, back to some advice for you. One other piece of advice. your relationship with Corey is what it is. But knowing him, he will betray you next. You're not going to be the next Mrs. Lewandowski. You probably don't want that either, do you? He is a hustler. He is a scuzzy guy. He is a bully. He's a thug. He's a punk. He's abused women in the past, and we all know it, and he knows it. Again, if you think I'm wrong, Corey, sue me. Come at me, bro. This moment, Kristi, for you, I'd throw him over as fast as I could. Because either he's going to be on Adult Fascist Finder looking for a new partner, or right now he's shaving himself like the guy in Silence of the Lambs dancing around in a basement preparing himself to pleasure Mark Wayne Mullin. James Gum. But I'd run from him, Kristi, because there's nothing an abuser hates more than losing his gravy train, as he just did with you. Because he might tell your story before you do if you're not careful. You know, folks, I don't really make it my business to advise terrible people on how to save themselves. But I love using the counterfactual arguments of it and love thinking it through, because I know they won't do it. There will still be some vestigial part of her that says, I must be loyal to the dear leader. I must not betray Donald Trump. I must stand by his side until the very end. Everything Trump touches dies. Look, it is my rule of Newtonian political physics. It is the thing that has defined everyone around him forever. And people think, oh, well, so-and-so's been around for a long time. That's what makes the betrayals even harder on those people. That's what makes the way he breaks them even more horrifying. And he always breaks them. He always breaks them. He always wrecks them. He always destroys people. I'm watching a dance going on with Rubio and Vance and Hegseth, three of whom think they're going to be president. You're thinking, Hegseth, that drunken lout? Listen, we elected a guy who was best friends with a pedophile, who was a rapist and a criminal, who has a penchant for underage girls that he admitted on Howard Stern. So Hegseth's thinking, I'm just a drunk. Hell, I could be president if I keep my silver coiffed hair and my perfectly Botox forehead in front of the media. And JD and Marco, they're all fighting it out, right? There's an ugly little brew going on there under the surface. We'll talk more about that. But look, this entire day, I want to go back on this one more time. And by the way, 1.9 thousand folks, 1,900 folks watching right now. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit those buttons, like, subscribe, do the things. If you're watching us on Substack, would love it if you join us as a member of the community, either for the free content or for the stuff behind the paywall. I like to think the stuff behind the paywall is pretty damn good. And we put a decent amount of stuff on the free side, but would really be honored. And we really appreciate everybody's engagement with the community. This is a good day for America, because an evil person in service to an even more evil person is being thrown off the sled. And she will get torn to bits. She will get ripped to ribbons. And she deserves it. She's sitting there thinking, this is great. This is a great picture for me. This is a great image for me. This is something where I am reveling in human misery in a pay-to-play prison camp run by a South American dictator. She thought in that scene right there, in her mind, what she was thinking, Donald Trump will love this. I look hot. I look great. He's going to love how thin I am and how long my hair is and how great my makeup is and how much I'm enjoying the suffering of men who were beaten routinely in a prison colony. She loved that. She was there with enormous joy in her heart. She thought this was unlocking her future. Everything Trump touches dies is a rule, though, Kristi. It's a rule. You cannot break it. It is Newtonian, as I said. Nothing about it, nothing about her future, it will vary. He will betray her even further. He fired her, and now they will turn the power of the MAGA media machine on her. Watch how the influencers turn on Kristi Noem. Well, she wasn't that bright. Well, she wasn't the right person for the job. Now we need MMA fighter Mark Wayne Mullin because he's a manly man with manly instincts. He's also like 4'11", but that's, another story for another day. And he's dumb. But folks, we are about to have confirmation hearings now. The DHS budget is still in flux now. There's so much corruption out of Noem and Lewandowski that we're going to unwind a million different things they've done. I think there's a non-zero possibility that Trump goes so far as to throw them over the cliff and ask Bondi to prosecute them. I really do. I really, honestly, genuinely do. I think there's a real chance that he says to Bondi, make an example of both of them. And that'll help me clean up my reputation. It won't, Donald, of course, but I don't put it past him. Guys, I don't put it past him. He gave into pressure to do this, and I love it. But the sequence is always the same. The minute, by the way, you can always tell when Trump's going to fire somebody. He starts calling around to people going, do you think Noem is doing a good job? Does she make me look good or not? He's done that many times before in the first administration. He was doing it last year around this time with Elon. Is Elon embarrassing me? Do I have a problem with Elon? Which is why last year we were running ads in DC so Trump could see them, like President Musk. He runs everything, Donald, and you just sit there and watch like a cuck. We didn't actually say the cuck in the ad, but I might. You always know when he starts making those phone calls, you know it's going to happen. He leaks to the New York Times, not to, by the way, he doesn't leak it to Fox News because Trump secretly doesn't love Fox News. He loves the New York Times. He loves the real media. He wants media to obey him. He wishes they would respect him at the Times and at real networks. But the networks, the MAGA networks like Fox and Newsmax and CBS and OAN, he doesn't respect those people. But the rest of the media that kept the heat on Noem, I want to shout out also today ProPublica, Democracy Docket, and a lot of other groups that really kept the heat on the stories around Lewandowski and Noem, because they built up a fact basis that Americans were paying attention to. And the pressure got louder and hotter and more intense for Trump, and he couldn't take it. And he sold her out, burned her down. All right, folks. I'm going to see you guys again tonight, I hope, on The Breakdown. Be streaming on YouTube tonight. That's Maya May and I. We got a lot to talk about this war. It's crazy. Hope you'll join me tomorrow with Andrew Wilson and I, where we do our weekly show, 10 a.m. East Coast time, called Behind the Numbers. It's a streaming show on YouTube and on Substack, where we talk about the polling of the week. We got a lot of war-related polling, and one of the big giveaways or takeaways here is that this war is already less popular than Vietnam was in 1973. Gotta be something. You can also catch me, obviously, if you're watching here, you hopefully are a follower of the Against All Enemies Substack. You can also catch me on the Lincoln Project podcast And tomorrow you're going to see a podcast every week that I do called Elephant in the Room, video and audio. That explains the big thing that's going on underneath the water. I'm going to hang up on you guys now because I got to go write the Friday Brief, which is my weekly newsletter. Comes out every Friday for members. And this week is going to be a banger. I had already written a piece about Noem, was about to get the hook. I'm psychic. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate all of you guys for watching, listening, and engaging in the community. We really, really, really are grateful for all your support, and look forward to seeing you guys again next time. Thanks, folks.